those online Ocean tests, OCEAN, the Big Five personality tests. You can do them for free online in about 10 minutes. So, according to my test result, I think it's fairly accurate. O is openness. So, artistic people tend to be very high in openness. So, I scored 92. So, then C, conscientious. I scored about 73, I think, on conscientious. So I'm more conscientious than the average bloke. So out of 4 people, I'd be, approximately in the top 27% in conscientiousness. Then OCE, extroversion. So I'm moderately extroverted. So my self-perception was that I'd be evenly placed between extroverted and introverted. According to this test, I'm a little more on the extroverted side. And then OCA, agreeable. So this test placed me at 50% on agreeableness, which is higher than I expected. But so I'm evenly positioned between agreeable and disagreeable. As people age, they tend to become more agreeable, more conscientious, and less neurotic. And then the last dimension of this online personality test I took said that I was very low in neuroticism. So I'm sure if I'd taken this test in my 20s, I would have scored perhaps moderate in neuroticism. But neuroticism tends to diminish as we age. So one thing I've noticed is that people after about age 40, it's very rare that they publicly humiliate other people. Right? This is something that kids do all the time. And then teenagers do it a little less than, say, preteens. Then people in their 20s may do it moderately. But by people's 30s, they're dramatically less likely to publicly humiliate others. And then once people get into their 40s, they almost never deliberately do it. Okay, so Steve Saylor wrote a couple of blog posts and a Takis Mag column on how the movies we like reflect our personalities. So, for example, there's a comparison between people who liked the movie Pretty Woman and people who liked 2001: A Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick. So people who like Pretty Woman, they tended to be low in openness. People who like 2001 tend to be very high in openness. People who like Pretty Woman tended to be highly agreeable. People who like 2001 tend to be disagreeable. People who like the movie Pretty Woman tend to be conscientious. People who like 2001 tend to be quite low in conscientiousness. People who like Pretty Woman tend to be extroverted. People who like 2001 and science fiction in general tend to be highly introverted. So I've never liked science fiction, and that might tie in with personality that's much more extroverted than introverted. And then both movies are attracted to people moderate in neuroticism. Then, what was the Friday Night Lights movie? It was compared to Heathers. So remember Heathers was a 1988 satire about high school where the lead character goes around deciding whether or not to murder all the girls in her school. So Friday Night Lights, the movie, versus Heathers, the movie. In openness, people who liked Heathers were very high in openness. People who like Friday Night Lights were very low. People in general who like sports movies, they have the most distinctive recurring personality pattern. People who like sports movies tend to be low in openness. They're not aesthetes. They don't spend time in art museums. They tend to be highly agreeable, highly conscientious, and extroverted. So tend to be people who succeed in business. So jocks tend to succeed in business, and they tend to be politically conservative. So people who are high in openness are about twice as likely to be on the left politically as on the right. People who are high in conscientiousness are about twice as likely to be on the right politically than the left. Okay, not sure there's any correlation between agreeableness, extroversion, and neuroticism in politics. Anyway, so you can see how someone keeps their room or their office. If people are neat and tidy, the odds are about 2 to 1 that they're conservative rather than liberal in their politics. If people like to eat the same foods over and over again, the odds are that they'll tend to be conservative rather than liberal in their politics. And if people like poetry that rhymes as opposed to free verse, the odds are that they're conservative rather than liberal. If people like stories that have a definitive ending, the odds are that they will be conservative rather than liberal. Now, none of these things are particularly a moral point, right? There's nothing moral about preferring one type of politics to another. Nothing moral or immoral about liking to try lots of new food. So people who like to try lots of new food, obviously they tend to be high in openness, and they tend to be on the left politically. People who like to eat the same food over and over again, they tend to be conservative. So I had a couple of friends who had very different reactions to the Mike Judge movie. Was it Space Force? Something like that. And the movies we like, they reflect our personality type. So it's not like there's just objectively one superior type of movies. So, for example, underdog sports movies, they appeal to people who are highly agreeable, highly conscientious, extroverted, low in neuroticism, low in openness. These movies don't tend to win Oscars. All right? So, just as different movies appeal to different personalities, right? Different stories appeal to different personalities. Like people on the right politically, they like stories with a strong moral, where there's a definitive ending, where there are moral lessons to be drawn, where there are clear standards of right and wrong. And what does it mean to be on the right politically? It means that you're comfortable with hierarchy and you put a great premium on cleanliness and order. G'day, mate. Good of you to protect your underchin with that mask. 2 ads played before this video. That's crazy. I'm sorry that you had to go through that, man. You did not deserve to suffer like that. So we can't get snooty if someone doesn't appreciate 2001. Okay, so Josh could eat the same 3 squares a day for the rest of my life. Okay, so Josh is going to be likely to be on the right politically. Now, Josh, do you like science fiction movies? For example, did you like 2001? I was bored out of my mind with 2001. I don't like science fiction movies. Science fiction movies for people who are heavily introverted and probably quite neurotic. So Friday Night Lights appeal to people low in openness. They like the same old thing over and over. People who are highly agreeable, highly conscientious, extroverted, low in neuroticism. Okay? Then people who like Heathers, they tend to be high in openness, low in conscientiousness, low in agreeableness, high in neuroticism. Don't remember about whether they're extroverted or introverted. So I think we can see that just because different people, different personality types respond to different movie plots, so too we know that different personalities. Sci-fi renters cost me around age 11. Yeah. So too we know that different personality types accord with different politics. If you're high in openness, you're likely to be on the left. If you're high in conscientiousness, you're likely to be on the right. If you keep things clean and tidy, you're likely to be politically conservative. If you're at ease with chaos and mess, you're likely on the left. People on the right want order. That's about their primary concern when it comes to politics. They want law and order. They want clean streets. They want to keep out people who are different. For people on the right, that which is different is scary and dangerous. For people on the left, that which is different is interesting and possibly even intriguing. So we have the Biden administration on course to take power, January 20th, approximately. So a little over 5 weeks from now. And I don't want to be mad all the time. I don't want to be ticked off all the time. I don't want to be angry all the time during the Biden administration. I want to be happy. My perception is that I'm a pretty happy guy. So to be neurotic means that you enjoy having negative emotions, right? You enjoy feeling loss. You enjoy feeling sad. You enjoy feeling depressed. Like you enjoy experiencing negative emotions. That's what it means to be neurotic. I'm very, very low in neuroticism. So I don't enjoy feeling sad. My self-perception is that I'm a happy guy 99% of the time. I guess they're different than good people. So I don't think people on the right are any more likely to be honest, law-abiding, trustworthy, decent people than people on the left. So that's my presupposition. And so I did not like the movie 2001. I don't like science fiction in general, and I don't think I'm a bad person because I don't like science fiction. So I don't think we should berate people. Let's say Citizen Kane. Okay, Citizen Kane, how did that match up with It's a Wonderful Life? So I don't think Republicans are any less likely to cheat if they can get away with it than Democrats. I think most people will cheat to the extent that they feel like they can get away with it and also maintain that their self-image that they're a good person. So that's my bias. So It's a Wonderful Life versus Citizen Kane. Doesn't your worldview inform you that dumb people are less moral? Yes, my worldview informs me that smarter people have more capacity for empathy, and they're going to be less likely to commit crime, and they're going to be less likely to act in antisocial ways because they will see more clearly the consequences of their behavior, and they'll have more capacity to enter into the lived experience of other people. So generally speaking, I would expect more accurate vote counts when higher intelligent people are running the process as opposed to less competent people. So not a correlation between moral behavior and religiosity. I'm not sure there is. I think what is demonstrated is that religious people treat their in-group more morally than non-religious people. But as far as out-groups, I'm not sure that there's any correlation. But that's my understanding of the statistics. I don't know. So people who like It's a Wonderful Life, they tend to be low in openness People who liked Citizen Kane tend to be high in openness. So people who like It's a Wonderful Life, probably 2 to 1 more likely to be Republicans than Democrats. People who love Citizen Kane, probably 2 to 1, 3 to 1 more likely to be Democrats than Republicans. And then conscientious. People who love It's a Wonderful Life tend to be conscientious. So are conscientious people more moral? Yeah, I would expect that conscientious people are more moral. So if conservatives are more conscientious, then it would make sense that they would be more moral. If people who are high in conscientiousness are more likely to be religious, then it would make sense if religious people are more moral. So that's interesting. So people who like Citizen Kane don't tend to be particularly... What has my ad revenue been like since I got monetized? It's nothing to speak of. So my ad revenue is nothing. It's like $5 a month, $10 a month, $10 a month max. Okay, so I'm high in openness, and that usually correlates 2 to 1 with left-wing politics, but I'm high in openness and right-wing in my politics. So it's a little bit unusual, but not highly unusual. And Ricardo apparently is low in conscientiousness, but right-wing in his politics. So usually high conscientious people are on the right politically, and low conscientious people are on the left. But this is only like a 2 to 1 correlation. So Ricardo, do you like to eat the same foods over and over again? Or do you like trying new foods? Anyone in the chat likes going to art museums? So people who like going to art museums tend to be high in openness and tend to be on the left. Okay, so yeah, Ricardo likes to eat the same foods over and over. His wife probably likes trying new foods, so she's probably on the left, and Ricardo, as we know, is on the right. Okay, so as far as agreeableness, people who like the movie It's a Wonderful Life tend to be highly agreeable. So Ricardo probably feels comfortable hanging out with ex-jocks, I would assume. So yeah, Ricardo could eat Chipotle every day forever. So if you could eat the same food every day forever, the odds are probably 3 to 1 that you're on the right politically. So I wonder if Ricardo, I wonder if Ricardo probably feels more comfortable with ex-jocks. So ex-jocks would tend to be low in openness, high in conscientiousness, high in agreeableness, high in extroversion, low in neuroticism. So people who like It's a Wonderful Life, that movie, they tend to be low in openness, they tend to be high in agreeableness, they tend to be high in conscientiousness. They tend to be more extroverted than introverted, and low in neuroticism. So this also correlates with jocks. Now, people who like Citizen Kane, high in openness, low in conscientiousness, low in agreeableness, tend to be more introverted and much more neurotic. The most neurotic people, the movie that attracted neurotic people the most was Girl Interrupted. So who was the Jewish actress that starred in Girl Interrupted? She always plays neurotic characters. So those who liked the movie Girl Interrupted, Winona Ryder. Okay, so she always plays neurotic characters, and people who liked the movie Girl Interrupted, they were 99% high in neuroticism. while people who like sports movies are going to be low in neuroticism. And neurotic, once again, that means that you enjoy experiencing negative emotions. You enjoy feeling loss. You enjoy feeling sad. So, do people on the right have gay friends? I would expect that heterosexual people on the right who are high in openness are going to be more likely to have gay friends than people on the right who are low in openness. All right, so if our personality types are so predictive of the food that we eat, the way that we keep our home or our office or our car, how likely we are to be on time, predicts the type of entertainment we like, the poetry, the stories we like, the movies we like, the TV shows we like, then makes sense that it also is reasonably predictive of our politics. So then can't we make peace with different people have different gifts, different people, conscientiousness is almost a measure of maturity. So just as different people have different gifts and different people have different tastes, most people become more conscientious as they age and more agreeable and less neurotic. So if we accept that people have different tastes in entertainment, different tastes in food, and they vary in their ability to be on time, then would it not make sense that people would also have different tastes in politics? So therefore, that's why I don't like regarding our opponents as demons. And another reason I don't like that is that it causes you to hate them, and then you would not feel bad, if bad things happen to them, and you might even be willing to assist. Some personality types should be in charge, others should stick to making movies and paintings. You definitely want people in charge who are high in conscientiousness, right? You don't want people running your city, state, or national government who are low in conscientiousness, I would think. We just saw a rare sprint from Luke Ford, 4D chess move. Maybe one shop is open that he's walked by. So can we make peace then? Different people experience the world differently, and therefore they have different politics. So it's not that they see the world differently, they experience the world differently. So let's say as I'm walking along here, I spot a rattlesnake, right? So I'll change the view. Okay, let's say I see a rattlesnake, right? Being on the right, I have a much higher startle response than people on the left. All right, so a rattlesnake or a big pile of dog poop or a dead bird, all these things are much more disturbing to someone on the right than someone on the left. Right, we have a high startle response. Right, that which is different feels threatening to us on the left. And so you show pictures of snakes to people. Those on the left have much less of a negative reaction, of a startle reaction. People on the right have a much bigger startle reaction to pictures of snakes or pictures of dead birds or pictures of dog poop. Okay, Luke's mic could be on his cheeks, so you're getting too many breath sounds. Am I breathing too heavily? Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you. So did I sound breathy like Marilyn Monroe singing to John F. Kennedy? All right, so startle response is that people on the right have much more fear of that which is different, and they put stock in making much more preparation for things going bad. So people on the right tend to think more about disasters, like what could go wrong here, what could destroy law and order, what could threaten the survival of my people. People on the left don't think about this. So people on the left think about change. Change is exciting. Change is invigorating. Change could be awesome. And people on the right think change is scary. Change could be disastrous. It's best to stick to the tried and true ways. So this is personality. Being left wing is a luxury. Should I pray for snakes and leftists? It's decadent. Well, I think it's just so much more useful just to understand. So let's say you can't understand why somebody doesn't like the movie It's a Wonderful Life. Let's say they find it trite and you find it inspiring. All right, so it would be easy to think, oh, anyone who doesn't like the movie It's a Wonderful Life, they're bad. But instead of thinking they're bad, I think it's much more useful to think, oh, they just have a different personality type. Okay, so I can both understand and dismiss these people as useless and corrupting. That's really dangerous. Like when you dismiss people, meaning you scorn them, and their humanity no longer means anything to you, that leaves you, I think, much more wide open to really bad behavior. I don't think it has. Does it have a good effect on one? I can both understand my enemy and come to the conclusion there's not room for the both of us to coexist. Yes, I see that. But is there danger in not regarding the humanity of your opponent? Okay, so let's say your political opponent scorns you. Are you better off scorning him back? Does that have a good effect on you? Does it have a good effect on you to dismiss the humanity of your political opponent? If leftists are so open, then why do they hate us so much? Well, for the same reason that we value law and order, then, why do we hate people on the left? So because each side threatens things that we regard as valuable. So leftists hate us because they see us as threatening openness to new experiences and new ways of doing things. And we hate them because in their new ways of doing things, they threaten order, law and order. And we think that proven, time-tested ways of doing things are better than new radical ways of doing things. So, do you guys see any danger to having scorn for people? Whether it's for homeless people or drug addicts or political opponents. Because when you have scorn, when you dismiss people, when you dismiss their humanity, when you no longer see them as having, complex inner lives. So you'll see with many white people who don't have high regard for black people, they regard them as very primitive and having no sophisticated inner life. Right? That's what happens when you dismiss people, is you don't believe that they have the same kind of sophisticated, nuanced inner life that you do. That they're just dumb as oxen. And, okay, there's a time for talking, but at some point talking becomes losing. All right, so this is a time for talking. This is a talking stroll stream. So what are the upsides and what are the downsides for dismissing the humanity of vast segments of the population, dismissing the humanity of many people that you may interact with on a daily basis? So you're going to become much more callous towards people whose humanity you dismiss. So you are going to become less caring. You are going to destroy any ability to bond. You're going to destroy any ability you have to bond with those whose humanity you dismiss. So you reduce, your chances for bonding, for caring. Just seems to make you smaller, makes your life smaller, and you're most likely going to be callous. You're going to be callous to the suffering of other people or to their needs. It would seem to reduce the emotional palette of your life. It would seem to narrow and constrict your life. And it would seem to rob you of opportunities for genuine human interaction, possibly even some form of connection or some form of dialogue or some forms of appreciating the things that different people bring to the table. Oh man, why are they still playing ads? They shouldn't be playing ads. That's crazy. He doesn't have ad blocker on. I always use ad blocker. Can't believe that there's anyone surfing the internet who doesn't use ad blocker. Alright, so what are the other downsides? The downside of scorn: you dismiss the humanity of others, reduces your ability for connection, it reduces your ability for empathy, it can lead to really bad behavior. So think about Pittsburgh Steelers fans and Dallas Cowboys fans. So when Cowboys fans, go to a game against the Steelers, Luke's moon landing headset cracks me up. At some point, mental health will chase him with a giant butterfly net. So what happens when you have rival sports fans at a stadium? They tend to have scorn for the other, and then that very quickly degenerates into violence. Like it's very easy for rival sports fans to become violent with each other. So that's the downside. What are the upsides of dismissing the humanity of your opponent? So the upsides of dismissing the humanity of your opponent is you may be more effective in going to war with them. It probably provides you with more in-group solidarity. Violence over sports is ridiculous, yet it's incredibly common. And so it gives you greater clarity, probably bonds you more with your in-group, probably makes for a smoother life in many ways, because you're not trying to interact or even care about people who are very likely to bring you a whole bunch of frustration. So you'll get clarity, you'll get certainty. You will economize with your time and your resources. And probably give you passion. So you're not worried about the other side, you're just worried about your side. And it probably might give you strength and meaning and connect you to a feeling of transcendence, that you are on the side of light, taking on the forces of darkness. Okay, I think I'm pretty much talked out. I got nothing left to add. Had a terrible night, couldn't sleep last night, so I biked 10 miles. But, okay, so move the mic away from my mouth to get better sound quality. Okay, so I biked 10 miles, I could not sleep, so I watched that new series on Netflix. The first one was on, I might stream later, I don't know. What was that? What's that new Netflix series? I watched 8 episodes of it last night about Richard Jewell. All right, so the first season was about the hunt for the Unabomber, and it was excellent. Then this new season is about the Richard Jewell, the security guard in Atlanta, who was a hero, saved hundreds of lives, but then was persecuted by the media and the FBI as being the guy who set the bomb, falsely persecuted for false reasons, and then later exonerated. But it took an enormous toll on him. So I'll place the description of this new Netflix series in the link. But it was so good. I watched 8 episodes last night. I didn't intend to. Like, I started watching at about 5:30 p.m. and then I kept trying to go to bed, but I'd toss and turn and just be thinking about the show. So after 20 minutes of trying to sleep, I just get up and go, F it. I'm just going to watch. Then after an hour or two, I'd turn off the Netflix, try to get back to sleep. Couldn't do it. Yeah, is it Mindhunter? Season 2. Mindhunter. It's so good. I mean, my natural instinct is to venerate law enforcement. My natural instinct is to help the cops any way I can. We love our cops. We love our law enforcement. We love our military too, because they're important. My natural instinct is to venerate the FBI, to see them as heroes, to see law enforcement as heroes, to see prosecutors as heroes. But there is a lot of abuse by cops. There's a lot of abuse by the FBI. There's a lot of incompetence. And so this is one reason I'm not a huge fan of dismissing people, because there's no group who's always good or always bad. Like, sometimes it does not serve you to trust the cops. Sometimes it does not serve you to venerate law enforcement. Right? Some cops are bad. Some FBI agents are bad. Or some situations will produce distorted results. So there's a fascinating lecture on YouTube why you should never talk to the cops. I'm not endorsing that attitude, but the law professor makes a very strong case. So people on the right, we naturally tend to side with law enforcement. Sometimes law enforcement's corrupt. And so sometimes the FBI is incompetent or corrupt. And so this series is really important to watch. If you, like me, have a knee-jerk response to law enforcement, is to help them every way you can and to automatically side with law enforcement and prosecutors and the FBI. And this series just shows incompetence, it shows vanity, it shows cruelty by news media such as Kathy Scruggs of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, who destroy an innocent man's life, a hero's life, Richard Jewell. Along with the FBI, just destroy this guy and his family, mock him because he's Southern, he speaks slowly, he's fat, he's Christian, he's a single white male who lives with his mother, and he's working as a low-paid security guard. And to see the disrespect with which this guy is treated from the very first minutes of the show, just because he's a lowly paid security guard who's fat and Southern and speaks with a drawl, it's just infuriating to see how journalists mistreat him, the FBI mistreats him, ruins his life for no reason. This guy was a hero, and they ruined his life. So it's a good reminder that some cops are bent. Sometimes the FBI are the bad guys. Sometimes prosecutors are bent. Look what prosecutors did to the Duke lacrosse team. And then Baked Alaska, wasn't he threatened by DLive that he would lose his live streaming account if he ever maced anyone again? So Baked Alaska, was it last night, was harassing a business owner, was asked to leave the property. He wouldn't, and the business owner shoved him, and then Baked Alaska responded by macing him. Then Baked Alaska got arrested. Like, what the heck is going on with Baked? Our brother Baked, is it? What was it that Nick Fuentes should do? According to a friend, he should get off the Baked Alaska bus and then detonate it. Spiritually speaking, I mean, is Maced Alaska on drugs? I'm told he doesn't even drink, but there's a lot of disturbing footage of our friend Baked Alaska. There he is getting arrested last night when we love our cops, guys. We love our law enforcement. We love our military too, because they're important. We love our cops. So Baked is changing again. Like, why be so nasty to people? Like, just because someone has a different perspective on mask wearing, on social distancing, on how we should react to COVID. Like Baked Alaska, believe it or not, he is not an epidemiologist. So this is Luke needs a T1 wobble device, a gimbal, and a Walk for You series. Okay. So I just upgraded to the new Logitech Stream Cam. So there's a different visual quality to my live streams. Maybe I need to upgrade my stroll streams. So we're a few hours away from Shabbat. But I mean, I'm disturbed by all these videos of Baked being nasty to people. Right? I can't. There's no reason for that. Like he's mocking people for being overweight. Now, I'm not fond of fatties, but I would never be cruel to one. You're not deserving of normal courtesies. All right, let's see if there's any cottaging or drug dealing going on. See if there are any crack addicts out here. Let's see if we can share the gospel of recovery. We love our cops, our law enforcement. We love our military too, because they're important. We love our cops.